What crazy ass thing did your racist uncle just say at Thanksgiving dinner? My grandfather told us keys are made from the beer cans he left in Korea. My grandma, she's 93, was being asked if she has any concerns about her doctor and she said yeah. He's black, from India. Then she asked me who I was for the next 20 minutes. I mean people from India? No problem. A black person? Totally fine. But a black person from India? No way, Jose. My grandpa said that the burnt Yorkshire pudding was blacker than the African monkey knee. I want to die. Wow. That wasn't an accident. He told a story about when he found a black cat, took it home, and named it the N-word. Hard R included. Lovecraft family Thanksgivings must be so entertaining. Cousin, who was high, said that he doesn't believe in black chickens because he ain't never seen no black chicken meat at the store. I have a good friend who immigrated from the Middle East. I figured I would invite him over to meet my extended family on Thanksgiving. As soon as my uncle saw him he had to blurt out, "Oh no, there's a refine terrorist here." My uncle is a very literal guy. Let's just say my friends has no intention of coming back over for Thanksgiving. I'm not Middle Eastern, but I am a minority. And I believe the best response to a racist joke or insult is to play along but roast them in the process. I'm Mexican. So when I was called a maid, I only quipped, "You want me to clean your house? Your welfare checks won't cut it." My grandma said to my cousin and her girlfriend, "You know, that's my son's favorite type of porn. NGL." That took me a minute but made me laugh. There's just so many layers to that statement and all of them are wrong. We were at my folks' house and my uncle came to visit. My dad, brother and I were outside working the turkey fryer while the women were in the kitchen doing their thing. My brother brought his 2 black labs. The dogs were play fighting like all dogs do. I guess one of them got a little too aggressive and bit the other one, which caused him to whimper and run off. My uncle, without skipping a beat, says, "At least it's black on black crime." I used to work at bar in Nick and at the end of the night the doorman, Gary, big black guy, would always ask for a Guinness. He'd take a big first sip then say, "Black on black crime. My favorite. Lol." Mexican druggies love lizards. Thanks grandma. To be fair, every person I've met who has a pet lizard has also done Drew Gus. Edit. The internet is taking my anecdotal experiences way too serious. Sleep off your ducking turkey guts, fam. Not me but friend's dad. Nigs devalue homes. You don't want them in your neighborhoods. Thanksgiving, the 28th of November 2019, 4:50 p.m. OMG, when my parents bought the house they live in now, the real estate agent was careful to warn them that there was a hushed tones black man living next door. My dad said he was okay with that. But if it were any racists around, please point those out. That we need to get all the gays together and block them off from the rest of us. Apparently, they are ruining the rest of us. Good thing he doesn't know I'm one of those cursed gays. Regardless of anyone's opinion, straight people make gay people. Where do all these racist uncles come from? Is this really a common thing? It's the stereotype to assume it's an uncle. But usually in any family of like 12 or more, there's just statistically gonna be one super racist person. And I guess if you assume that that person is less likely to get married and have kids because they are insane, then they are more likely to be an uncle than a dad. In my experience, though, it was never an uncle. Always a grandma. My grandma is dead. But my favorite racist thing she ever came out with was in 2008. When I decided to be a smartass and ask her how excited she was that Obama was going to be president. This one is easy. He's black and a Democrat. I've got 2 reasons to not like him. The opposite of what you're asking, but this crazy auntie currently lives in the US and celebrates Thanksgiving. My family hails from Vietnam and they've always been involved in politics. My auntie, who's a nationalist, has always fought for Vietnam's independence. She was tortured by the French and became a Viet Minh when the Americans didn't live up to their promise. One thing I should state. I'm not trying to sound racist, but this is a fact. Back in the days, the vast majority of Asians were racist against black people. I still find Asia to be very racist. Not just towards black people but amongst themselves too. But back then there were no exceptions. That said, back to the story. This is when Americans got involved in Vietnam and stopped backing up the French fighting Vietnamese nationalists. By that point, the Vietnamese were their enemies. Even though very few hailed allegiance to communist ideals. My auntie was being shot at by American soldiers and was running in the paddy fields trying to dodge their bullets. In the mud. While running from the fire. She lost a flip-flop. A black American soldier hiding in the bushes saw her for who she was. A young woman. Possibly a nationalist, true. But unarmed and running for her life. He stepped in. Went to pick up her flip-flop in the mud while shots were still being fired. He handed it back to her and let her disappear in the forest. If a lot of elderly Asians are still racist, not necessarily out of malevolence but usually out of fear and ignorance, this great auntie is possibly the least racist person I'll ever meet. And the way back to yet speaks of that soldier. With love and respect. Is etched in my memory. That painted a very vivid image in my head. Thanks for the story, dude. It was my wife's aunt. She said in reference to Monday Night Football. Booger McFarland makes us want to be racist. Obviously not a good way to phrase it. But I get what she's saying. LMAO. Commented how those camps could never have killed 6 million Jews. Oh whoa. Holocaust denial. That's fun. Just started dropping the N-word. No warning. But once it was dropped, he told a story of how him and his family chased a bunch of N-words through their fields in their truck. BC they were stealing something. Cannot say enough. Zero segue. I learned to spell segue today. Thanks lady. Germans don't learn about WWII. Just like we never learned about the Japanese concentration camps that we had to win the US. We had to build ours though. Because we were at war and they were the enemy. What else are you gonna do? Followed shortly by. Of course teachers should pay to decorate their classrooms. That's optional, no one is making them do it. My cousin who is a teacher actually we're required to decorate our rooms and also grades rated on it in our job reviews. It was one nonsensical rant leading into others and it got boring fast. In Germany you do learn about WW2 and it's actually illegal to say the Holocaust was fake. My grandpa told me the Democrats are going to take over and put us all in camps. Meanwhile he'll be hiding in the woods eating cans of beans. An uncle tried to prove that liberals are crazy by showing me a clip of nudists he'd seen on Fox News. Even though the nudists didn't say a word about politics. An aunt said she was excited about the upcoming border wall because it would keep the Muslims out, and when someone asked do you mean Mexicans she doubled down and said Muslim terrorists were getting into the US through the Mexican border. This same aunt also said single mothers are the reason schools are failing, and when I reminded her my mother was single until I was 8. She said it wasn't all single mothers and one of her friends is a single mother. Honorable mention. My father-in-law gleefully tells anyone who will listen that he played a pivotal role in deporting a few hundred illegals who were employed at a local meat packing plant. The loss of these employees actually devastated this small Iowa town for several months and left many American-born children parentless. Whenever that detail is pointed out to him, he grows even giddier and says he doesn't see the issue there. Interesting how people blame single mothers but not the absentee fathers. While watching football, they got them big mouthpieces in like pacifiers. Probably to cover up them Negro lips. My father-in-law called Asian people chinkies. My dad calls gays fruity. Accompanied by the obligatory limp wrist gesture. He has also repeatedly informed me that I am making my boys gay by letting my male children have long hair. Joke is on him. My sister came out as MTF trans. WHO is making gays now. Not the worst. But my grandmother went on about how all women like sandwiches and a lot of men don't. That's the weirdest generalization to make. Who the hell doesn't like sandwiches? Turn off that N-word music. There was a long pause while all the family awkwardly took in his racism. The only response was one cousin noting, double quote, "But it's Kid Rock." The real problem here is someone is playing ducking Kid Rock. My uncle asked me, 21M, if I like to suck big dick because I got my ears pierced. Why? Do you got a gay incest fetish? How safe is your neighborhood? I'm not sure. Have you met your neighbors? Are they white? Had a neighbor move in next to me. Fortunately, she is long gone now. But within the first few sentences of just meeting her, she asked me if I could point out where the blacks live. We have a pretty mixed area here. Everybody is everywhere. And right at that moment, I could honestly not differentiate one house from another. They kinda look the same. It's not like they have a plaque to identify which houses have the blacks. We were driving home and my dad was drunk in the backseat, and when we got home we found out he was sitting on the leftover ham and sweet potatoes. The highest form of racism. They like to say run while watching football. This is why I would never introduce my black girlfriend to that side of the family. What about your Asian girlfriend? Yo. I straight up had a normal Thanksgiving. It was wild. My stepmom's father said something like liberals deserve to be dragged into the streets and shot. This was in front of my 6-year-old baby brother. Fortunately my dad shut that shit down fast. What did your father say to shut him down? My mom is an Asian immigrant and thought the N-word was the PC way of saying someone was black. Ironic, right? Yeah, so anyway she just casually said it in the middle of dinner in front of the whole family. Edit. My mom's not racist and is actually very sweet, she just doesn't know much of American culture. I remember my friend who was tutoring this high schooler from China for English told me this kid did the same thing when writing a paper about the Martin Luther King Jr. It was an awkward conversation about outdated words. My mom reminded me and my fiancé, who is foreign and unaccustomed to some of the fruitier conspiracy theories of the political right in the USA, that she believes Michelle Obama is a MTOR trans person. Edit. As a consolation, my dad, who does the majority of the racist heavy lifting, but is way less conspiracy minded, actually gave my fiancé a hug as we left. The dude has never even hugged me. He's actually gone from disapproving of me being with a foreign person to that. She's a white woman from Ireland. I don't even really know what to make of it. But what I do know is I can't afford to cut contact yet. My grandpa said he has no idea why anyone would drink Modelo cause you have no idea what those Mexicans are putting in it. There was widespread panic a few decades ago about Corona being made from or infused with piss from the Mexican brewery workers. Corona was rapidly becoming the #1 best-selling imported beer in America, and its competitors started making up the PP rumors to slow it down. The lie was surprisingly widespread and, less surprisingly, unquestionably believed by American consumers, and did significantly impact Corona sales. Jesus will deliver us from the opioid crisis. Or the opioid crisis will deliver them to Jesus. Wow. What a perfect thread. My uncle went off today. He's very conspiracy theory heavy. And this time apparently the sand are going to start coming from over the hills and he will be ready to shoot. When I asked where they were going to be coming from, he instantly responded with a dead serious Minnesota. "You're dressing like a homo," said he, and my aunt were looking for a place to get a foot massage for a decent price. Finally found one down the street where the chinky girls work. My eyes widened for 2 reasons. It wasn't my uncle but his Guatemalan stepdaughter said I have a huge fetish for babies while holding my newborn cousin. If she is native to Guatemala and is learning the English language, maybe she didn't mean it like that. He said some politician from South America deserved to die because he was speaking poorly of Trump. Also made a ton of sexist jokes in front of my grandmother, different side, no blood relation, my mother, his daughter, and my aunt. If jokes count, this one was said. What do fat chicks and a pallet of shingles have in common? Both have a 90% chance of being nailed by a Mexican. My wife's father said we had to unite behind Trump as our elected president during the prayer. My wife is from Germany. And she has a grandpa who has dementia who will, on occasion, blurt out Heil Hitler when he gets too excited at family functions. Funny thing is, he wasn't ever even willingly a Nazi. He got conscripted in 1945 at age 14 and surrendered to the Americans the first time he saw them because he was hungry. He's even married to a Jewish woman. That he's smarter than a black surgeon. He's 40 years old, lives with our grandma, works a dead-end job and is probably illiterate. My mom said that she saw the idea of white people being a minority as a threat to the future of America. My cousin said that she wouldn't move to Louisiana for her husband's job because she would be a minority. Almost like she thinks that minorities are treated badly or something.